instantaneously. Take me to the first practices, the first 5 or 6 practices, Frank. Did you think to yourself, wow, this is pretty good, pretty fast?
Well, yeah, I did. And, obviously being the first year as the Lakers coach and with this roster coming together, all overnight, basically in the offseason, we expected it to take some time before we really started to gel. Those two seem to have instant chemistry both on and off the court. And, I think, when it starts off the court and the relationship is strong and then you see the skill sets match up on the court on both sides of the ball, I would say as well. We had a strong belief that we had a chance to come out of the gates pretty strong, and we did.
Frank, I had said all year, I said, I've never seen a team in my 40 years watching the league that doesn't have a dependable third star that can win a championship as good as they are. So that was my takeaway, is that who's going to be the third guy? Almost every championship team needed that. Was there ever a moment for you during the season that you were concerned that I'm not quite sure if it's Danny, is it Rondo, is it Kyle Kuzma? Was that ever a concern for you or your staff?
I would say it was a small concern, but I never felt like there was that need. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like, we were going to have 2 guys that were going to bring it every night and put up MVP type numbers. And, to me, the rest of it came with ball movement and all 5 guys being empowered to be aggressive offensively. And I actually liked the dynamic that it could be a different guy every night. I like that part of our identity because it's harder to game plan against that.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to be Rondo. You don't know if KCP is going to get hot from the perimeter, or Avery Bradley early in the year, or your bigs are going to dominate on the glass. Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I mean, it really literally was a different guy every night type of dynamic for our team, and I think it really worked for us.
I've said for years, the most underrated part of the NBA, great teams, all highly functioning IQs. The bad boys in Detroit, how many of those guys were coaches or GMs? They were all these tough guys, and you're like, no. It's one of the smartest basketball teams ever. The Miami Heat dynasty, I thought, I've told Joy this, it may have been the smartest collection of basketball players. You could have like 7 guys be GMs on that team. Your roster, Rondo, LeBron, I mean, I'm just throwing guys that have been around, Danny Green. Take me into Rondo, because I thought he was washed. And then the last 2 series, I'm like, he is so in the head of Denver. He is so. Tell me what you can do with Rondo and guys like that you may not be able to do with a young kid or a young player.
Well, you can do things you've never done before as a team. You know what I mean? And as a coach, that always makes you very nervous, especially, again, this is not a team that's been together, or a coaching staff that's been together 4 or 5 years with a system and everything. So, with guys being able to pick things up that quickly, experienced guys that have seen a lot of different things, know how to execute different coverages, different offensive spacing types of things. That was a great benefit of our team this year. And I would put Anthony Davis in that class too, as being an extremely intelligent player. And, when they start telling the story of the LA Lakers, the intelligence piece is definitely going to be at the forefront.
Yeah, no, it needs to be. I mean, most championship teams, you go to the Lakers, they become executives, they become coaches, and this is a thinking man's game because so much of it's situational. Now, you coached against LeBron for years, and obviously we know how great he is. I mean, I've watched 90% of his games. But when you now have LeBron, and you have him at practice and team planes and the bubble, was there a moment early in it that you're like, wow, like I didn't see this, or boy, this is an additive. This is, or he even surpassed your expectations seeing him every day, all day?
Yeah, I think both early on in the film room and on the court. The film room in particular, I'm a junkie with studying the tape, and I can't get enough of it. I like to do it. It's probably too long at times, but there were some times early in the season where, the film was running a little bit long. I knew I had to cut it, and he kept just answering questions, like asking questions and putting guys, hey, what about this? And if we do this, they got to, if they do that, we got to do this. And, hey, coach, what do you think about this spacing? And he was so engaged in these film sessions, even, after the first 5-10 minutes, which is where most players, that's their time to check out.
Right.
He kept it going 20, 30, 40, 45 minutes into the film session. And when you're lying in the locker room, is that attentive to what's going on, the rest of the guys are too. And you have a chance to really improve your team without even touching the court. And I would say the same type of mindset with all our drill work and spacing that we were putting in practice.
You know, it's interesting. You were #1 seed in the West. Now you're a championship team. And so it's very natural, Frank, for players to think, listen, we know what we are when it matters. How do you get this team, which is a lot of veterans, that you guys breathe? I mean, let's be honest. These were not 7-game series. You took care of people quickly. How do you instill a sense of urgency for your second act now? That you're ready to go in February and March? Because that can be a problem for championship teams.
Right. Well, what worked for us this year is that, the identity we try to create early in the season is that we were going to play harder than our opponent every time we touched the floor. And that habit alone is going to be one of the most important habits that will win for us in the playoffs. So, to have that mindset, that's how we got out of the gates 18-1 or whatever we were to start. And, obviously throughout the course of the season, earned the #1 seed, and we're the best regular season team in the West. Those habits that we built throughout the year, we talked all year, like these are the habits that are going to win for us in the playoffs. And, it's not a light switch, and it's a play harder than your opponent habit. And, I think that'll be the same mindset next year, knowing that, that habit established over a quote unquote 82-game season is going to be the very thing that is going to win for you in the playoffs.
Anthony Davis may be one of the best defensive bigs I've ever seen in my life. It's hard to explain. Like, take a minute left. Give me basketball context. Like, what does he allow you to do? I just think Rasheed Wallace, I covered him for years. I thought he was a great defensive big. Rasheed could cover anybody. What does Anthony Davis do for you?
Well, you said it right there. He can cover anybody. It starts right there. You can put him on point guards. You put him on Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. You put him on Jamal Murray. Dame Lillard, we would have him switching out onto Dame Lillard. The ability to just put a guy out there that can guard anybody on the floor, even the best scorers in the whole world. It starts there. But, his feet, his length, his ability to protect the rim and understand coverages. Again, the intelligence piece is what people don't understand about Anthony Davis. There's a lot of shot blockers that don't understand the discipline of the coverages, the angles that you have to take, all these types of things. And he really picked all that stuff up very quickly with our group, with how we wanted him to play, and was just a star on that side of the ball.
Yeah, you can see when he blocks shots too. He often blocks it with a purpose. He's blocking it to somebody, to a space, to get the fast break off and running. Frank Vogel. Well, I've never won an NBA championship, but I bet the wine tastes a little sweeter. Just a little lighter on your feet. Congratulations. Me and Ryan Russillo we were talking last night having a beer about you're one of those guys that just needed the right fit. You got it. We couldn't be happier, and congrats to you.
Ryan's great. I've always enjoyed, our interview.